Good morning, YouTube. This is Tinka. Just doing a quick update. Hopefully, it's quick. I'm trying not to be too lengthy about an update in our homeschool. It regards my son Malcolm. Back on November 28th, which is also my birthday, he was diagnosed with autism. So we've been kind of like in a whirlwind trying to, sort through all of the information and all of that stuff. So I'm here for information and any questions I can answer. Anybody, I'll be able to do that from my YouTube platform regarding that. The day that we got our diagnosis was actually our second visit to the Children's Hospital Center for Autism here in Philadelphia. The first visit was just me and his father, and they just explained the process of how the testing goes. And basically, we talked about different things that we noticed about our son. The second visit was the date that they did the testing. I'll go more into that on another day, but he had his testing on another day, and then like a week or so after that, we had him not with us, but just us parents, and they gave us the diagnosis. And it was kind of long because she went through every assessment that she did and everything that he did. And we weren't in the room. I can't. I had to go back to this. We weren't in the room when the testing was done. I found that odd. Me and my husband had already like visioned, that we would be in some separate room, like looking through a two-way mirror or some kind of closed circuit TV to witness some of the things that she said happened that I don't necessarily feel like happened. But I do think majority of it was pretty much on point. So at the end of that visit, we received this packet here. I think it's probably about 10 pages, maybe more. She had a stapled copy of her findings for me to look at and for his father to look at. And we thumbed through it as she was giving us the her different observations and her diagnosis. She also showed us like a booklet that really shows. I think it was like an IQ test and some other kind of test, but it was in a booklet, like a test booklet, like you would do like a standardized test. Of that, which we do very little testing as homeschoolers. We only do it for what the law says us to do once a year, and I've gotten that down to where we do that on our computer. So I didn't really have too much to say about whether or not I felt that was a great test. I think, also him in a room and the test was about 2 or 3 hours. There was a break in between. He came out to the waiting room with us, got on his tablet, and then a little while later she came back out and got him and took him back to the room again. I have to wonder if, and I'll ask her if she taped at least, not like with a videotape, but at least voice, everything that went on, because a lot of the things are so detailed in her report, and me as being a recording secretary in my chapter seemed just like some things. Oh, that's so that I would have just gotten the detail straight from the tape, not from me remembering it. Okay, so that's one thing. Then the very next day, because they gave us like a few websites, Autism Speaks is one. My husband printed out the Autism Speaks Science and Family Services First Concern to Action Toolkit. So Autism Speaks has picked up. I think that they are really pushing this. This is almost going to be as big as the Susan Corman for the cure with breast cancer, because there is a lot of stuff already in the works, and they're just waiting for this to be like the next biggest thing, my opinion. So I got this big packet. Okay. And so it has a few little things that you can go through. What I know, my son is 9. What I noticed a lot, and there's even a table of contents that tells you the different things that's coming up in this little packet. Talking to your healthcare provider, understanding the child's development, getting formal evaluation, which we're past that, different issues with your healthcare provider again, other things to know, and then tools and resources, which is the part that I'm mostly interested in, and that is on page 15. And I want to say this booklet is probably and there's like different little inspirational poems and whatnot. This came straight from the website, so I would definitely recommend people to get this. I haven't even read it fully. Like, this is also new that I haven't really accepted it and digested and mourned and everything I needed to do yet. So then the day after that, or maybe a week so after that, my husband goes on the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia Research Institute Center for Autism and prints out some information that they had there. What was interesting about this particular packet is it had a lot of information about different studies and research. So this is more so on the research, and my son is already in one research group after reading through what the research trial was about. It was about video games that could possibly help. And I know my son loves video games. That's one thing that I really have to say about my son and his diagnosis, that all of my kids are gamers, but it's a certain it's a little something extra with him when it comes to the games. It's almost like a need, and he seems to understand it better. We started off using Connections Academy, which was all computer based. I took my girls off of it, but I may put my son back on it, because that is something that he really responds to very well, a little bit more than myself. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, because I think this would have held him back education wise, there's not a lot of writing when you're doing these kind of things. So his writing is not that great anyway. I think one of the things that he may have is dysgraphia. He has a very hard time writing. And as I was noticing this over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, and I would bring it up to other homeschool moms, they'd be like, "Oh, well, boys are harder. Try this, try that." I tried everything, and he can write what he wants to, but the writing itself is very, very illegible. It's like a code. So that's where we are with that. So then another day, my husband, he's amazing, because I didn't have ink during this time. We were about to go into, the holidays and break, so I wasn't worried about getting it as far as for school. But we got this 100-day kit for newly diagnosed families of young children, and it basically breaks down, some things, and gives you, like, in your first 100 days, kind of to gradually ease you into this process. Another thing I found as far as making accommodations, I automatically did that as a mom with my kid. I talked with this in length with the doctor about I asked her what would be the next step, and she didn't give me very many steps. So thank God we had the internet, because I asked her, and I said, "Will you be treating him? Will I be bringing him to you?" She said, "Oh no, I just do the diagnosis." And she gave us the packet, and she was out. So it depends on where you go and how much support you get in one place. I chose Children's Hospital because here in Philadelphia, and Children's Hospital does so much, and they're known around the country for the works that they do. So I thought surely they had this all pretty much together. Now, even the place where we went to have his evaluation was not in their actual hospital. It was like kind of like 2 or 3 blocks away. It's kind of like, they're trying to ease them in. Um, so yeah, so this first 100 days packet also from Autism Speaks. Autism Speaks right now is just like everything for me. In this 100-day kit, I see that it's dated July 14th. So here we are 4 years later. So I'm wondering, how much of this has changed since then. But I'm skipping around, but we were talking about the IEP program, or I'm not sure what it is, but basically some assistance from the school level. And when I told the doctor, I said, I homeschool. I said, can you tell me what the IEP would be, and I will duplicate that at home. She says, oh, well, it's, they have someone that will work one-on-one with your child, and give him extra time on work and all that. But it really seemed kind of sketchy, like she wasn't 100% sure what that actually was, but she always recommends it and just sends the parents off to figure it out. Or a lot of the kids who come in there already have it. So it says individualized education plan is a section for your child's individual plan documents and all that. So basically, you would get extra help inside of the schools. And I would say to anybody who's homeschooling, you're probably doing all of the stuff already. One of the things that I was telling her that I already knew that I had to do was, when I give him schoolwork, it's very overwhelming if he sees like a whole page of multiplication tables, say for instance, and I'll tell him just do half or do every other one, or I'll just cut the paper in half altogether so that he doesn't have to see them, because seeing so many at one time, instant meltdown. I'm not even kidding. It's like instant meltdown. So over time, I have learned to kind of like finesse and like pick up like when this is going to be a day where he's just going to do IXL most of the day, or if we're going to get at least a few of the things he wants to do. Now, he had an IQ test. He did really well on the IQ test, and I think I'll have that done again at some other point way down the road, in another setting, because he really did not feel comfortable, I think, with this particular doctor. She was a young white female doctor, and so some of her mannerisms and stuff like that, she was trying very hard to seem comfortable, which I'm sure is what her job entails, but you can really tell that this is all very routine. It seemed from my standpoint, it seemed very routine, and this is what I do, and let's get to it. So, she claimed that my son chased her around the room and called her baby and made different sexual innuendos to her. And when she was saying it, she was looking at us like to see how our reaction to that was going to be. And I just came out and said to her, I never seen him do that before. And so she kind of backed off and read something else, So I was like, does she add that a lot? To like add a lot of yeast to the diagnosis, because her and I was like, how did you write? I mean, she wrote a lot about him, and it was like so detailed. Like I said, she either had a videotape or some kind of taping of her own, but this was just like a lot. And as me coming from a social work background and working with people in her particular title, I know the little things that they do. So anyway, back to the 100 days. It says it's a week-by-week plan for the next 100 days. I'm probably about 2 weeks behind, but I can catch up on the reading easily. It looks like this. I'm trying to show you guys. So like this. It's really actually like 2 weeks per page. I'm not even really trying to show y'all that. I don't know how to reverse this camera. I'm using my phone. So it goes for, I would say, about 13 weeks it goes up to. And then it says ideas for purposeful play. They give you some ideas for that. Another thing is a lot of these things that I'm reading so far sounds like really young kids, like 6 and under, and my son is 9, and really he's like a mature 9. I would say he's more like a 10ish because of him being with his older sisters all the time. So a lot of the stuff that they were saying is like it's not even for us, like and it also could be for the nonverbal, not high function. They probably do to the middle, but like they'll say different things like playing with blocks and stuff like that. Like he's past that, but he does Legos and he does Roblox and he likes that kind of thing. Then there has like a whole section in here where you can use it as like your planner. They have different slots here, like who's your provider, write all your information, so you have everything in one place. And what I'm going to do is compile all of this today with some dividers and whatnot and make a binder. Okay, so one thing I'm good about as being a homeschooler. All right, so then after they have all these sections, they have like a contact section. It's by medical, it's by therapy, it's by support, and all these places give you a spot to write all of their information, kind of like a phone book. Oh, it'll say name of contact, name of practice, phone number, address, email, and it gives you a bunch of spots to write that. Then there's a phone log on top of that. I want to show you that. I don't know if you can see how this phone log looks. Same thing. It's basically like information. I'm hoping I keep going forward that I see a section. Oh, they have something here for assessment tracking. I'm trying not to show my husband's messy side of the bedroom. Goal tracking, a safety log. I'm not sure what that is about. And then the whole back section of this booklet that he printed out from Autism Speaks from page 84 to 98 is like a glossary of all the different terms, because you when you get this diagnosis, you're immediately bombarded with this alphabet soup of ABA and this and that, and I didn't know anything about any of all that stuff. So I'm glad that had a glossary in the end. So that was the 100-day kit. Another thing that came into play is our insurance. They immediately, I really felt some type of way about them asking me over and over, was I getting any kind of assistance for him already? Was he going somewhere and getting treatment already? There's a lot of that. And I only can say that the culture here where I live at, and I live in the very urban part of Philly. I don't live in the banlieue or the outskirts of it. I am right in the city. And that's why I call our homeschool urban homeschoolers, because we are right in the city, inner city, as they would say. So a lot of that is pervasive here. A lot of parents here are putting their kids through the system in order to get a check, and that was something that I wasn't therefore, nor was he on was I seeking any kind of medication, which she asked that several times, about medicines. I'm like, we're not trying to do that, What do you do if there's no medicine? Ask questions along that way. And I already see now that, going forward, I'm going to have to be, the biggest advocate. One other thing, and this is like kind of a personal note, during the time we were getting our results back, my husband got up and left the room. I think he was very upset. And I'm not thinking upset just about he's shocked about the diagnosis, like you found out the child had cancer or something like that. But it was shocking to him because him and I have been at odds about how to discipline and how to raise our son, because I basically knew, I guess inherently as a mom, that there was something different that we had to do. I had to treat him differently, and then sometimes I had to treat him exactly like the others. So it depended. You have to kind of like feel it out. And he just was like, not trying to have it. He was like, just it was a lot. I really don't even want to go into how much problems that caused between us. So the insurance piece, so they told us to apply for Social Security immediately. She gave me information. The one thing she did give me was that packet and tell me to apply for Social Security. I have a friend that works at Social Security, and I talked with them regarding, how that works, because I have no idea. I haven't even been close to anybody on Social Security, so I don't know. So basically, it's a process, and so we did the process only to be told that we didn't qualify for it because of my husband's income. And I kind of knew that. I figured it had like an income thing to it also when you're claiming for kids, but I wasn't sure. So I did that. And she was like, well, if you don't get that, that's how you'll be able to get Medicaid. Well, I also know that I'm not going to be able to get Medicaid either because of my husband's income. I mean, I'm just not getting why she had this cookie cutter way of thinking of everything. So we'll get whatever we can on that, because I'm thinking if nothing else, maybe we can get some like extra coverage or something like that in case our insurance caps out on therapy or doesn't pay for it. That's the only thing I can think of. So my husband works for the city of Philadelphia, so he also printed up something that they have like a tax exempt kind of like savings plan for for medical things. I can't remember what they call it. It was some sort of like tax shelter kind of annuity situation that you can use the medical things. I think everybody has this wherever they are. So it's called PA Able here. It's a savings program. And so we're looking into doing that so that we have extra funds for taking him to therapy, because I think that some of those therapies are not covered. Okay, so I'll have to go through this PA Able thing because I already see somewhere where it says there's fees for that. So I'm trying not to accumulate any extra debt or anything like that to anybody. So that's where we are, and this probably was I don't know how many pages. So I have to go through that at some point after that. So what does this mean for us as far as homeschooling? I'm not 100% sure. I think I'm going to continue on homeschooling him, just now even more so because of different Facebook groups. Of course, I joined Facebook groups immediately on high functioning autistic children, and I'm just hearing some of the horror stories. And these are, like I said, a lot of them have itty bitty kids, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm glad that I, got past that. We had some incidents, before this diagnosis. I won't lie. There's a lot of things that we don't go and do anymore, due to how things went down. With my son there. So there's a lot of things that we don't do. And there's actually even a lot of family members that I don't bring him around. So that means different functions that we don't attend anymore because family, they all have their own, you should do this, you ain't doing that enough, and this, and they don't really understand. So I'll have to be educating them on that. The little bit that they do, and I think I told maybe 2 family members so far besides my brother that he has autism, and my brother didn't say very much at all. I had one family member told me that they knew something, and whatever the case may be. So I just wanted to share that and let y'all know what's going on with us. So this is an extra interesting thing for me to journal. So I'm going to consider this our first day.